So get a sense of your sense of self as it is constructed by the sense of the controller. The one who knows what's best for itself, the one who thinks it knows all kinds of things, really. That sense of the controller who really comes from that fundamental root chakra idea of survival, then filtered into the second and the third, into personal worth and who am I in relationship to others, and how am I safe in relationship to others is a fundamental one when it connects to the root. So this program has been running us for centuries, okay? This is the problem. This is the difficulty, the challenge. It's the imposter self. You all, as I'm speaking, have an imposter self. What is the imposter self? It's the thinker, the controller. It's the substitute servant that came into being when you did not yet know how to take care of yourself as a small child. And probably the more traumatic your experiences have been, the more dense you might have this controller aspect within you. God bless your heart. But that doesn't prevent you from coming to total healing. Total healing. Just imagine that for a second before we continue. Between you and God, between you and the all that is, what would it be like for all your needs for control to be absolutely absolved, relinquished, resolved, disappeared into the only thing that ever was, which is the only thing that then remains, which shines as infinite awareness, bliss, true love. Not the human version. True love. Divine love. Wisdom. The ability to be unwavering without any insistence whatsoever, yet unwavering on what is true, without the need for thinking that you're right, but absolutely unwavering in your relationship to anything that is offered to you, whether it comes from another person or your own imposter self-remnant mind. When you did not yet have the means to consciously take care of yourself, you started like an animal. You started responding to pleasure and pain, pleasure and pain, pleasure and pain. Later on this became a little more sophisticated, and it became mental emotional pain and pleasure, mental emotional pain and pleasure. Hence your addiction, which is actually your calling home, got channeled into the externalized world of form, shape, size, people, others, sensations, feelings, thoughts, emotions, pleasure, pain, etc. So you became addicted to God in a form where it is not seen in its original nature. But we're all addicted to God, which is what we are. We're all addicted to life itself. We're all addicted to the source. The one infinite creator is what we are addicted to. We just channel it in different ways depending on how the imposter mind offers to us at any given second that this is the safest way to go. Or this is the best way to go. Or this is the greediest way to go. You can get the most out of this. Or even without greed, just you can get the most out of this. Therefore, it makes sense, go here. You don't have to kill anyone for it. You don't have to kill anyone for not doing it. Doing it seems to give more benefits, so why not? So along those lines, the imposter mind will always try to get you to either safety, depending on your history, or accumulation, which is another way of being safe as well. To accumulate, so you're safe. So let's look at that for a second, or a few seconds. So the controller replaces God, but when God is seen, it replaces the controller. This is the journey to self-realization. We want the controller to be absolutely annihilated. Ultimately. Don't do this just yet. Unless you want to. But the imposter needs to be negotiated out of its own contract with you. Does that make sense? Yes. In most cases. Now, there are some cases where that's not necessary. But in most cases, because we have become what we are, which is consciousness, pure infinite consciousness, free of location, free of a body, free of a world, free of anything. Pure infinite bliss, love, consciousness, okay? That is God. That's what you are, and you will find this out if you stick around for 5 weeks. I promise. If not, you should go. That's what you are. But that, because it's so formless, it's so invisible, it doesn't have a form of its own, it'll become identified with whatever form is placed in front of it. Okay, so the imaginative mind places in front of itself a body consistently, and a world, and things, and important topics, and significance, and meaning, and safety, and others, and all that. So since pure awareness, which is formless, infinite, lovely, just lovely, ease, bliss, when that becomes identified with the human form, it creates the controller mind. It creates the substitute servant. God is now replaced with the controller. Some call it the ego. It's an imposter. Okay, it's not who you are. But since you have become identified as and with the imposter, it's very difficult for you to see without thinking. And any thought you have is the imposter, including the thoughts you think are best for you. You don't know what's best for you. I'm sorry. To the degree that you can be without thoughts and know the true resonance of spirit within your heart, undiluted, unfiltered, without any conceptions, without any concepts whatsoever, to that degree, which is rare, will you know what's best for you. Until that time, you will think, and you will think, and you will think, and you will think that it's you who's thinking. You'll think that it's you who has had all this past experience to rely on. God does not rely on memory. I can tell you that. Because its motivation is not safety. So it needs not memory to predict outcome. You don't need your history. It's never been your life. It's in front of you. It's a show. It's a shit show. For some people, it's a fun game. It's a play. Whatever it be, it's not you. You are God. Your infinite freedom. Those are nothing but fancy words to the imposter filter. Maybe you get a glimpse of it, again, depending on your level of openness and experience with giving away the mind altogether. You can hear what I'm saying to the degree that you're not thinking about what I'm saying. You're not filtering. You're not protecting. But notice whatever protection you have in you now, subtly, things you wouldn't even label protection, but something in you is a little on edge right now. Something. Every single one of you, there's something there. Some very subtly, some locked up in fear, what's happening. Any degree between that, what is it in you that is not completely at ease right now? Look for the remnants of the imposter self, pretending to be you, pretending to keep you safe. From what? Safe from what? More of God? You don't want to let more of God in? Are you sure? Just want to have this tiny little patch of God and call it human? When you can have all of God in infinite abundance, overwhelming grace, indescribable joy, union with the one infinite creator, for Christ's sake. Also, those new to me, I'm a little irreverent from time to time. I hope you don't mind and can see past that. I wouldn't want that to distort the way that my teachings or the teachings can land for you. But I will continue to be irreverent. Whatever is uncomfortable about that tends to come from the imposter mind anyway. So the imposter has fooled you. Joke's on you. Joke's on all of us. We're all in this together after all. The imposter has fooled us all. It's very clever. So in order to unwind and undo yourself in the one infinite creator, to see God, to be God, to live God, to breathe God, to know God only, more and more, as much as you want to. Many of us will have to go through a process of renegotiating the contract that we originally signed with the imposter mind. The first one to go on that list is, I am absolutely 100% you. If there's a 100% attachment and identification with the imposter mind, there's nothing I can say, or anyone can say, or anything you can study that can get absorbed and reach a true level of marination where it can grow and blossom. So in order for this realization to flower in you, which is the only thing you're here for, I'm assuming, along the way, yes, there will be meditations, yes, there will be bliss, yes, there will be direct pointings that make you feel instantly liberated and free, and laughter ensues, and it changes you forever, for sure. But along the way, there will also be moments where we will have to renegotiate that contract. We have to sit down, look at where we're substantially holding ourselves back from letting more of God into our lives, and we have to be willing to renegotiate those addictions. That's what I meant with certain sacrifices need to be made. But when you get to the level where that becomes relevant for you in order to move on, that you need to renegotiate that contract or give it up altogether, depending on how ready you are, how tired you are of that contract, we'll have to go through that process from time to time. But like I was saying, when you are ready for that, when it is relevant for that to happen, it will no longer feel like a sacrifice. It'll feel like the first thing you want to do. Because you can now feel how heavy it has always weighed on you. You haven't realized that you're wearing this backpack this whole time. Even when you're sitting down, you don't have to wear it. When you take a train somewhere, you're still wearing the suitcase. Why? Just put it down. The train is carrying the load. You don't have to. Trust in God and your life will be just fine. Trust in life. Whatever word you want to use. Infinite awareness. The one infinite creator. Love. They're not completely synonymous, all of these, but they will do. Whatever word resonates for you. Christ. Why do you feel unsafe? Oh, imposter mind. What could possibly happen to you other than more of the mystery of the one infinite creator revealing itself? And why is that scary? Oh, imposter mind. Why are you afraid? What has God done to you? How have you been harmed and hurt? Betrayed, abandoned, misunderstood, failed, discarded. Where does that fear come from? Why be afraid in circumstances when there is no need for it? Why carry it around with you all this time? You needed it back then. But who needs it right now? Why not let in the divine infinite love and bliss of the one infinite creator and wash away your tears, your fears, your struggles, your attachment to your past? Wash away your identification with your past. I know you worked hard to achieve it, but it doesn't exist anymore. And it has never existed to begin with. There is only God. What else would it be made out of? There's only one creator, and it's infinite. So it can appear as everything. Every portion of your life has always been the light of God. In form, your labels have made it nasty. My finger doesn't call itself a finger. My pain doesn't say it's hurting. It's easy with the finger, more difficult with the pain, huh? My pain doesn't say it's hurting. I say it's hurting. I create the pain. The abused doesn't say it's abusing me. I learned that when I grow up. Oh, you were abused? Oh, great. Hold on to that. You've been abused. You've been victimized. The abused doesn't say you're being abused. You say that you're being abused. You can unsay that if you're willing, if there's no pride around your pain, or if the desire for liberation is greater than the pride around your pain. And yes, in an ideal world, you would get acknowledged for your suffering. You would get validated. You would get validated, loved, appreciated. The whole world would look at your life, investigate, and feel sorry for your ass. In an ideal world, this form of healing would happen in that way. And you would be able to then release with it, being acknowledged and recognized. But why wait for that acknowledgement to earn the freedom that is yours from before your life ever began, or was even a thought in the Creator's mind? Why hold yourself back, wanting relative healing before absolute healing can be let in? And another thing about me, for those who are new, I will always try to push you to your edges, okay? I do this out of love, believe it or not. And so you may not always feel comfortable in my presence. That's okay, that's still love. I still love you. More than you know. In fact, it's my reason for being. So take that as far as you can. And if you had enough, fine. I won't be upset. But since there's not that many people, I'm assuming, in your life that can push you in a clear way to the right edge that you need to see, witness, acknowledge, and transform and be able to let go of, I will do that. Okay? Sometimes it'll be greatly comfortable, it will be greatly liberating and joyful and fun. And sometimes it'll be a little difficult. Sometimes you'll have to swallow a few times and think I'm an asshole. That's okay. I'll still do it. Especially if you continue to want this freedom. There's nothing I wouldn't do for someone that wants this freedom more than they want their imposter self to preserve itself. One who does not want that and is bullshitting themselves, and after multiple opportunities shows that they're not really ready to make that sacrifice, to depart, to disassociate, to disidentify from the false self, I have no patience for. One who shows that willingness within themselves, that true desire. Patience is not even a concept. There is no end to it. I'm just there. I'm you. There's no patience. So we are in this together, and in a way, this is a relationship. And I'm okay treating it as such and seeing it as such. My relationships are intense, passionate, truthful, no matter what. None supportive of your ego, because that is what robs you of your healing. And I do not wish to participate in that, even if it makes you feel better. I will not compliment you on things you think you did great when you think you did great from an ego point of view. I will not be nice, sweet, or courteous, or gentlemanly, or do the thing I'm supposed to do when you come to me with something false and think it's true. If you come to me with something false and you're aware that it might not be true, and you're willing, very willing, to see that it's not true, I'll be a gentleman. And this is not a war between who's right and who is wrong. If that ever starts, I'll leave that room, or wherever we are. I'm not interested in that. I've come too far for that nonsense. I'm not here to argue with your mind. I might listen for a minute. I might offer a couple suggestions. If those suggestions are not taken, I'm not interested in our relationship. You can still come, most likely, depending on the gravity of your non-willingness. But I will not be interested to listen to you. I will not be there for that. Because if it's clear that there's no way that you're going to transcend that, then it is a waste of my time, and there's plenty of others who are at a level where they can embrace that. Outside of teaching environments, I'm much more generous with being flexible, and you'll feel much more comfortable with me, most likely, if that ever happens in this Sedona community. Because there is no expectation, there is no agreement. But here, there is an agreement. And I'll show up as the truest, brightest, clearest, no-nonsense version of myself that I can for your sake. And you promise to show up here, within the teaching context, as the most truthful, honest, willing, deliberate, humble practitioner, participant. You can be. If that is the case, then alchemy will be very, very swift. And this group will become one in more ways than your mind can presently perceive of or imagine. And you will grow as a whole, not just as a part. And I will grow as my mission here will fulfill itself that much more. The brightness will increase. And given the fact that we are in Sedona, which is like a big drain, vortex, every energy that is generated here will affect the planetary sphere that much more than most other locations on Earth. So not only are you doing this for you, you're doing this for the world. So yeah, safety. You guys feel safe yet? Very effortless environment. No pressure. No need to look at yourself. You can just be here and tell your stories like every other spiritual community out there. So this is not that type of community. Maybe outside of the teaching corridors, it can be, depending on which people you meet and what agreements you have. But in this space, there is no nonsense, because I want you to grow as fast as you can. I want you to experience so many growing pains you don't know where to look. I want you to be exhausted with your growth, so that when you do give yourself finally a break after pushing and pushing and pushing, all the fruits of your work will come flooding in at once, and you'll never be the same again. And I have always valued my time, well, at least in recent years. And so, I will not waste any of mine, not even on you. And so, the intention is always to be as quick about it, as direct about it as we can be. Again, if that brings up discomfort, that's fine, just let it be there. Let it be part of the equation. There's a reason why it's coming up for you. It's pointing to a core fear that you captured somewhere along the way and thought was you. Imposter mind reinvigorated. Imposter mind enhanced. We have an enhanced imposter mind through all of our experiences. My intention is to bring those barriers down, to drop most common sense, what we believe is common sense, so that the intuitive intelligence of God can operate through us freely without any ego, insistence, or arrogance in the way. Now mind yourselves, because arrogance often comes in the package of, I'm taking care of myself, or this is just what resonates, or I'm feeling bad about this, I'm feeling good about this, I'm going for this. You have to understand that where your feelings come from, if not from pure divine intuition, it is always from the imposter mind. So be as honest with yourself as you can be. If something is scary to you, it's usually a good sign. If something is a little scary and you feel on edge, there is something there for you. To say it doesn't resonate because it feels scary is to believe the imposter mind over the intuition and the synchronicity of the universe, which obviously brought this to your attention. Faith versus skepticism. Trust versus fear. Love versus doubt. It's always the same choice, my friends, every single second. Every single split in our path is the same freaking choice. And we're going to ensure that you get so good at making that choice, so good at making that choice, that you'll always choose the right thing regardless of your feelings. And this will transform your feelings. This will turn feelings into bliss. Instead of having an emotional body, you'll have a bliss body. Doesn't sound very good to the imposter mind, but it sounds good to something in you. Truth within, no matter how filtered, always recognizes truth when spoken or pointed to. That's why I trust that you will know or recognize what is true for you. Even if you're afraid and you need to take a little break or whatever it is during this process. But as long as you keep the exposure alive and keep the practice alive, you will find what you find. But it's amazing. It's incredible. You deserve it. It is total 100% healing. And past that point, it's just bliss.